So today we're going to learn about the area of triangles. Now, when I say the area of triangles, a lot of you are familiar with the equation here in front of you. A equals, or area equals 1/2 the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle. Or you can do area equals base times height divided by 2. It's good to know them both. They're the same thing ultimately, but pick one and stick with it. Now, as we go back in time to our 7th grade year of learning this, some of you had problems identifying certain pieces. Now, the important thing is that you have to be able to identify both the base and the height and know the difference between them. So let's take a look at a few of these, and I'm just going to ask you to find the height. Where is the height if I said that these are the given bases? And this one's base is right here. So what you have to remember is that the height is where a point of the triangle, or one of the vertices of the triangle, comes to a 90-degree angle with the base. So it forms a perpendicular line, meaning a 90-degree angle. So if this is my base, then I look at the opposite vertex, which is here, and I draw a line straight down to it, and it is 90 degrees. So that would be my height. And you can do the same thing here. However, if you look, there's already a line that makes a 90-degree angle with the base. So if this is my base, this is the 90-degree angle, so that has to be my height. And then we have two kind of odd-looking ones. Now, if this is the base I'm given, this is the angle opposite, or the vertex opposite. I can't draw a 90-degree angle in there. So what we'll have to do is extend the base in the direction that I'm just going to call the vertex is leaning. See how this triangle is kind of leaning this way? So I'm going to draw a base out here, just continue it until I can confidently take this and make a 90-degree angle. So this outside dotted line here would be my height. And you can see it with this triangle on example 4 that it's leaning over towards the left a little bit. So I'm going to take my base and I'm going to extend it out and create the 90-degree angle there, making that my height. So the height doesn't always have to be inside or a part of the triangle. It can actually be outside the triangle as well. So that's an important piece for you to understand here. So that's good and easy. So let's take a look at a couple of examples and see if we can find the area of these examples. Now, I made it a little awkward here, a little different, because I made this my base, and you could tell it's my base, this part here, because I extended it out this way. So 4 is my base, and therefore this, since that's forming a 90-degree angle with that base, this must be my height. So if I take my equation, and I'll just use the first equation, the 1/2 base times height, I'll just take that, area equals 1/2 base, which is 4 times 7, which is my height. Half of 4 is 2, times 7 is 14. So that's my area, 14 units squared. If they were in meters, it'd be meters squared, etc. Now let's take a look at example 6. This should be review for you guys, but let's just go ahead and identify the base, which is here, and my height, which is here. So the area equals base, which is 5, times height, which is 3, all divided by 2. That makes it 15 divided by 2, which is 7.5 units squared. So let's take a look at this one. I'm going to make this one really fast. This must be our base, and that's our height. So it would be 1/2 6 times 12. Well, half of 6 is 3, times 12 is 36 units squared. Let's not forget those units squared. Now with this next one, I just want to run through it real quick just because, you know, we need to make sure we remember this. The area equals 1/2 base times height. Well, if I'm given that, I know I'm looking for h because it says if the area is 135 units. So that is what equals a. So we're going to put 135 there. And then 1/2. The base I know is 15. And I don't know my height. So you have a couple of options here. You can simply multiply 1/2 times 15 and get 7.5. And then simply divide by 7.5. And h will equal 18. Well, let's take a look at what happens if we aren't given the height, yet we still have to find the area of a triangle. If we aren't given the height, for instance, this problem here. If we're not given a height of a triangle, then we have to be given something else. Now, there is an equation that we can use, and it is area equals 1/2 AB sine C. Now, of course, sine is, the C is where the angle is, and these are two lowercase, so that's where the sides are. But it doesn't really matter what you call them. It just needs to be a side, another side, and the included angle. What I mean by included angle, an included angle is simple. Included angle is the angle formed by two given sides. This over here would not be an included angle because I don't know that side. And same with that one. I don't know this side. So if I had this side, I could find all three angles, you know, if I needed to. But the way this really works is that it actually comes from the angle, or the formula for a triangle, which is area equals 1/2 base times height, right? If it's 1/2 base times height, I know the base is 21. So that's going to be easy. The height is right here. Well, think about what I just drew. I just drew a right triangle where I'm looking for this side. Here's my angle. I'm looking for this, which is the opposite, and I've got the hypotenuse. So isn't sine rule, or the sine saying sine of 42 equals opposite over this? So we're actually solving for it, which is at the end is going to be equal to B sine C. So it's kind of an interesting little piece here. So once again, we're just simply going to plug it in. I don't care about you learning how to do this part. That's not a big deal if you can just remember this. So it's long side, short side, sine of the angle between them. And that makes it very simple. 1/2 long side, short side, sine included angle, which is 42. Once you type all of that in, it's going to round out to be approximately 112.4 units squared. Okay, once you type that all into your calculator, again, make sure your calculator is in degree mode. Okay, so that's an easy way. You just have to remember long side, short side, and the angle in between. And if you guys remember what I said about the angle in between, it's called the included angle. It's something I'm going to ask you guys later on the quiz. Make sure you know it. What is the angle between two sides called? The included angle. Okay, let's take a look at one more example. This example is going to be a little harder because I'm not giving you any angles. Okay, I'm not giving you any angles whatsoever. However, you are aware that I did just go over law of cosines with you last week, which means that you can find any angle you want if you're given three sides. Okay, if you're given three sides. So I think I'm going to find this angle right here. And that means that this would be my A, this would be my B and C, or B and C, it doesn't really matter. And if you guys remember, A equals cosine -1 or inverse cosine B squared plus C squared minus A squared all over 2BC. So, doing the math on this, this is A, so this is A, this is B, this is C. So it will be 8 squared plus 7 squared minus 5 squared all over 2 times 8 times 7. And remember to cosine -1 that, do this at the end or type it all in together. That way you're not rounding ahead of time. And you should get 38.2 units squared. Now you could have found the same thing finding this angle or this angle, doesn't matter, but that is, oh, sorry, I told you the unit squared, it's degrees. You could find any of the degrees you want, but I found this degree right here. I almost told you the area, it's not the area, it's the degrees. So that's my number of degrees for this angle, 38.2 degrees. Now to find the area of my triangle, I need two sides and the included angle. So if this is my angle, what are my two sides? 7 and 8, right? 7 and 8. Those are my two sides because they are what make up that angle. So I got mixed up by that A. So the area equals 1/2 AB sine C, but remember, it doesn't really matter all this. It's long side, short side, and angle in between. So 1/2 long side, 8. Short side, 7. Sine angle in between, 38.2 degrees. And when you type that in, you get 17.3 units squared. There's my unit squared because that's my area. So let's make sure that you understand it. Go ahead and pause, rewind, figure that part out. Could you have used this angle if you found it? Yes, but your sides would be 8 and 5 when you used it. Could you have used angle B if you found it instead? Yes. You could have, and then to find the area, you would use 7 and 5. Okay, so it doesn't matter. If I don't give you an angle anywhere, you can still find it just by using the law of sines or cosines. In this case, we use law of cosines. Just depends what they give you. And then you can find the area from there.